Hey guys, Pat here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. Today I got back my aluminum fuel tank. I had a gentleman re-weld so it can fit into the back of a short box GMC or Chevy pickup. As you can see down here, the wheel well, originally the box came clear across here, and then back into here was just a triangular shaped box, and it was made for a long bed truck. Well, I got a fairly good deal on the tank, and so I went ahead and cut this out all the way around and had a professional welder go ahead and take care of welding this back into place for me so it can fit into this wheel well. So this tank will be able to still be able to fit into a long bed truck and fit into a short bed truck. So now it's more versatile. So now I'm here in the shop, and I also got a 15 gallons per minute Rite transfer pump. This is a different deal, and I'm not sure, sometimes deals aren't really good deals, but you know, I intended on taking the pump apart anyway and cleaning it all up, but I'm not sure what the gentleman had before me in the pump itself, or in the old tank that he had it in. I took the hose off of the pump, and here's the nozzle, and I unscrewed the hose from the nozzle, and I got some oil out of here, some kind. I don't know what kind of oil it is, but it smells like linseed oil or Danish oil. Kind of has a nutty smell to it. Anyway, I have no idea what kind of oil it is, but what I need to do is I need to clean up the ends here, and I need to clean out the inside of this hose. I also need to take the pump apart. Kind of took a wire brush and kind of cleaned this up a little bit, degreased it. I'm going to need to take this off and clean out the inside of this. So I noticed on the bottom of the pump, it's just gummy. It has a lacquery type smell, so it's probably, whatever it is, obviously is old. So I need to take all of this apart. I'm going to break this down as far as I can get it broke down, and if I can't get this cleaned up and in working order, I'm gonna wire this up and see if it actually works. And if I can't, well, then I'll need to approach Rite. These are made right here in the States, and see if I can't get a rebuild kit to make this right, because I'm looking at the bottom of this, and this just looks pretty gummy right here. The intake, this is where the bottom of the tank is, so I need to make sure that when I go ahead and put this back in service, I'm not pulling that all into the engine. That would be not good. The other thing that I purchased for this was a filter system. What's interesting to me is that I ordered a 3/4 inch inlet, and they sent a 1 inch. And I seen in the reviews on Amazon that one guy was complaining about the 1 inch port inlet and outlet of this. You know, I think they need to correct that. I'm not too concerned about it. I'll just get another reducer, 1 inch by 3/4 inch reducer, to make everything fit together. I'll need another bushing for this. I also bought a swivel, and I'll put this information where I got all this stuff in the description box below, so you guys, you know where you can get it. So anyway, this is a project one of the next projects on the list of things to do here is to make sure that this pump is going to be in operational order before I put it into service, obviously. Well, the first thing I want to do is just take this take-up tube off of here. I got a little AGM battery. Hook up to this really quick, and just to see if we've got life inside this motor here. That's pulling quite a load. It's really sparking on that contact there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this all apart. I can hear it trying to do something in here. It could just be gummed up. So what I need to do is disassemble the whole thing. and see what we have for an issue in here. These look like T25 star drive or Torx head. I would venture to say that I should take these off first. 7/16 maybe. That's it. Nuts and bolts in the same place. Soft blow mallet. Oh yeah, it's lacquered up in there pretty good. The other good thing about filming all this is if I get screwed up in any way, I can go back and resource the video. This is like rubber in here. It's maybe a couple of different fluids were mixed in there that had an adverse reaction to each other. I'm not sure what they ran through here, but it was an oil of some kind. It could have started out with diesel fuel and put gasoline in it and transmission fluid. I have no idea. And for all I know, the pump might be seized, but it is pulling a load, so I haven't lost complete hope yet. Actually, it looks like somebody may have been in here at one point, and these two screws are missing out of here. So I'll have to get some new screws to replace these old ones that were broke off. And what do we have here? Okay, looks like we have a little breaker. Keep that all together so we don't lose track where everything's at. All the connections appear to be good. Here's where the switch is. I don't know if you can see that. When the handle is finished and you have it hung here in the off position, well then when you remove the handle, you stick that in the tank, and then you lift this up in order to engage the motor to pump the fluid. So you got a little toggle switch in here. That's what that controls. So that, see that toggle switch, when I raise this handle, that puts the pump in the on position, so you can see it toggles on and off, and it looks like it's making adequate contact. There is moisture in here, so I'm going to need to dry this out. Maybe clean this gasket up here and reseal that. Looks like these guys have broke off the heads on these, so I'm going to have to remove those. Sometimes they're easy to do. Well, that came out easy enough. You see how I did that? I just locked it in the chuck and just reversed the motor. Hit reverse, and it came right out. So far, all I have to do is buy two screws to replace these, and the gasket has been leaking by, so the guy might put a little silicone or RTV in here, take this gasket out and clean it up, dry this out, and hopefully we can get that to seal again. Using the RTV as a cheap way of replacing the gasket. Perhaps I might be able to find a schematic of this and be able to replace that little breaker there, because it looks like there's been moisture in there, so that might be a good thing to take care of while I got this opened up. So what's the easiest way to dismantle this? It looks to me like I got to remove these two screws, tack this back together so those wires, there's no tension on the wires. I might even just find some stainless steel screws and replace all of these. Okay, I think those two screws that I had showing you there, two main screws I hadn't taken out yet, I believe I'm going to take those out because it looks like there's a seam right here. If I'm not mistaken, there looks like there could be a seam right here. So once I take those two main screws apart, this should come apart like this. This has all been cast together. So I think everything, this motor assembly has to come out that way. Red goes here. And in case that red one falls off, I just so happen to have yellow. And we'll mark that other one. Yellow to yellow and red to red. I like to mark both of these just in case one of these falls off, you know, so you'll always have the one to fall back on. So I can set this aside, let that dry out, and I'll remove these two screws here that hold that motor assembly. It looks to me like it holds the motor assembly and everything together. And before I do that, I can take this back off. Now it really doesn't matter which goes where, but I'm going to mark these just for fun anyway. I like to put things back exactly the way I took them apart, just in case there's the off chance that it really does matter. In this case, I don't really think it does. Don't think that's going to hold on there very well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take black and I'm going to encompass the rest of this and wrap it around to where it grabs the white. So you see that? Now I can tell my white and my black, and this shouldn't fall off because it's wrapped all the way around there. So I can take this off and put it in my little receptacle over there so I don't lose it. Yeah, this has had moisture in it. Not so good. It's not a bad idea to put one of these little dryer packets in here. It will absorb moisture if any moisture penetrates around the seal. Because this thing is outside all the time. It looks to me like this wear plate, if you mar or scar or scratch this surface right here, then it's not going to pump efficiently. So you want to make sure that you maintain a real clean surface here. Boy, look at that. It's just like rubber in there. No wonder the pump doesn't work. A guy might need to soak this in a solvent in order to break some of that loose. That is just like, you can see that. That's just rock hard. It's kind of like a rubber, and between rubber and, see how it's breaking apart? Hopefully you can see that. It's crazy. I tried a few powers of persuasion to get this separated, and I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm just going to have to soak this bottom half where the pump here is and see if I can get this loosened up on the end. See if I can get all this stuff to loosen up so I can get this to turn, so I can get all that separated so I can finish taking this apart. But I'm going to take it down to its lowest common denominator here, take as much apart as I can, and off camera I took the intake structure apart. These are 7/16 screws, and there's a screen in here, a take-up screen. So I'll take and I have to clean all this up. And there's this gasket. I'm going to take it carefully apart. I'm going to check with Rite and see what a new gasket kit is going to run to rebuild this. And if it's too awful much money, I'm going to see if I can't reuse this stuff. I know typically that's a no-no, but it doesn't hurt to try. So I've taken this apart as far as I can. Next thing, I'll just take this plate off of here and see if we can't remove the electronics or take that wire off of there anyway, make it a little easier to manage to put it in some sort of a little solution tank. Look at that. That's in bad shape. Obviously getting moisture everywhere you look. Well, rain country, this is what you get. You get lots of moisture. So I will disassemble all of this and clean this up. That's just been full of water. Okay, black to black, red to red. That's a no-brainer. We'll put new wire nuts on here. We'll get this all cleaned up. We're going to put new wire nuts on here, get this all cleaned up. Yeah, you see that inside there's pretty nasty. I'm not even going to try to take that out. I'm just going to replace those. Now we're going to take and remove the wire. And we'll dry this out. Clean this up. We'll just go ahead and remove this street elbow. Just in case you guys didn't know, I see a lot of guys take and put a wrench on this right here, and if you're not careful, you'll distort this. You'll egg shape this fitting here, this female fitting, and if you distort that, you're not going to get a good seal. So the best thing to do, if you can get away with it, is to put a nipple in there, or a short piece of pipe. The correct terminology, that's a nipple. And anyways, you can just use that for a handle, or if you put that on there like that, kind of finger tight, and then you can apply pressure on there, you know, with a wrench, and not worry so much about that egg shaping. So just a little tip. So I'm going to find a little reservoir of sorts and find some acceptable solvent. See if I can soak everything in here. The whole thing needs to be cleaned out and rebuilt. So I just brought a 2-gallon bucket over here and filled it about 2 inches high with gasoline, and I just submerged the liquid portion of the pump, submerged that into the gasoline. I want to use gasoline just in case acetone or another solvent would be damaging to the gaskets and whatnot. I'm still not exactly sure all of what's inside that pump until I take the motor assembly and everything apart, take the 2 castings apart, separate that stuff. I'm not sure what I got going on there, but obviously this pump is designed to pump gas, diesel, kerosene, things like that. So I'm not worried about the seals being affected by gasoline. I took apart the pump handle, or the pump itself, hand pump, and I'm going to disassemble this as far as I can and get this all cleaned out. This is aluminum. This is a cast aluminum. This is machined cylinder right here. I gotta be real careful that I don't mar the cylinder wall, but I also have to get this out of here. Well, I'll wipe this all out in here. You can see, hopefully you can see inside there and see all the nastiness that has to be removed and cleaned out. I'll clean all this up. I want to make sure that I get all of this off of here, because if I don't, it might have an adverse reaction to the diesel that I'm going to be putting in this tank, or any other fuel that I'm going to be putting in here. And if that happens, then I'm back to square one. And we most certainly, even though I'm putting a filter on here, I mean, I don't want to load up the filter. I don't want to get past the filter into the engine. You can imagine what would happen if I did a shoddy job and didn't clean this out very, very thoroughly. So this goes in the little tank over here to break all this down, clean all that up. I'm just going to let that soak for a long time. That looks pretty straightforward. I can see everything inside and out on this. Easy to access all of the orifices in here. Guy wants to make sure he doesn't score. That's a finished surface in there. Wipe it out the best I can. And here I got a stick. Get a piece of dowel or whatever, a non-marring material. And I can run this in the very end and hopefully clean some of that out. I don't think that's going to be too bad. I think the hose is the same way, the filler hose. And I'm going to have to figure out a way to clean that hose out. And I just filled this up with fuel, with gasoline. And I'll let this soak overnight. Come back out in the morning and see how it looks. I have a feeling it's going to work just fine. But I won't know that for sure until I come out here tomorrow and see if it's clean. I'm just trying to see if how easy this is going to be coming off of here. You can see that it's the same type of buildup. It's just kind of a gummy residue on here, and it seems like the gasoline is having an effect on it. So I'm hopeful that the gasoline is going to break that down to where it cleans up the inside of this as well as the outside. So just kind of I'm going to let it soak and let it do its thing. It's already feeling cleaner in there. I believe that's going to work. Okay, I'm going to leave it alone. We'll come back tomorrow and see how it looked.